So hi there again. Just going back to where we left off, and I think it is quite important to pretty much state what this video, I think we're up to the fourth part of this series. Yeah, about I think it is really important to state what this fourth video is going to be about. As we mentioned in the last one, which I think was to explain, um, yeah, where Susan Sontag's this started in her book, just trying to understand, figure out even what it is to the art of photography, the making of, um, yeah, taking photographs, even using images, has to do with anything, I think, particular in modern times. I think it's quite important to mention in this next part what it will try to show it is, yeah, the statement which I think I want to really dig into, but certainly I think there will be something, there will be an ongoing process even for me to figure out what I want to get at, but it's important to mention the yes, Susan Sontag mentioned the imagery, which I think really started, as she mentioned, in the 1839. Uh, and what I mean by this, the inventory imagery, it is that I think we just came, we just could came come down to explain that since 1839, probably everything has been photographed. So in a way, we have almost 2 centuries. That's a little bit mind blowing. Just to have, I mean, in a strict way to put it, um, to have record or write something with light. That is how we'll describe the action taking photographs in this recording is. I think it is quite important to write that out there. That it's how we'll probably eventually get to notice. Um, that's the right way to explain what uh, taking photographs is really. I think in this next recording, I just want to dive into, I think, the process in which I think it has come to down to almost 2 centuries for us to, even without noticing in a way, how does that, yeah, images are in our daily lives and we just can't even notice what a huge impact they have on our lives. So in a way, I think I will probably overstated this. It has to do with, even though some people might find themselves leaning to, I don't know, for instance, right? Um, Not having social media or not being that very keen on taking photographs. I think it is quite something for some people, even in these modern times, to not wanting to have a photo taken of them in a way. So I think, as a disclaimer, just to have those people really identified, even though having people like that in these modern times, which probably couldn't wrap themselves around the idea of getting to live with images all the time. I think it is quite important to mention that we cannot, I think, go away of the idea of not being influenced by them and in any sort or fashion. So I think that having mentioned that, I think um, what Susan Sontag probably meant when she was talking about how everything started in 1839, she meant that very consciously, and as this activity, the it really just started as, yeah, taking photographs as, yeah, documentary purposes in a way, and not even that, because I think it was more like an accident how it just started. And pretty much I think for the first century, as she mentioned in her book, people which only had access to this craft was the upper class. So in a way, very artistically, the photograph had, yeah, its most creative century in a way. So everything that has to be photographed in a way, it was I mean experimented with for sure. But I think what she meant by having to just think about how consciously people around, yeah, mid of the 19th century have to live with the idea of, yeah, just frame this part of the reality. It is, in a way, I think, mind blowing. So this is something that we, as this modern era, probably take really for granted, but it has a huge impact whether we like it or not. So, as she mentioned, yeah, I think it was built this phenomenon of even consider photography as an art. It just took for about 50 years probably to get it there. Um, and she mentions the very organically even, mm, yeah, modern societies got to, yeah, to experiment with the idea of going outside, and by this much probably, like the size of the cover of a book, people went to take photographs. So in a way, I think, yeah, it is quite something I mean to think about. But I mean, pretty much, yeah, there was where it started in a way. So yeah, the next video, I think I will try to expand on this a little bit more. It is almost incredible for me how long it takes me to expand something, but I think I try to explain this, and pretty much for anything who is watching, there is pretty much in the raw. So yeah, we'll try to explain those and probably get to the point in which I think this first video wanted to head into. There was how we get to experience and get the photographs, the images we were doing, that people from that time were doing. how we allow those pictures to come into our bedrooms or living rooms, even to our archives of any sort. That could be, you know, cell phones, or a little bit um, old-fashioned speaking, mm, in yeah, in our photo books or portraits. So in a way, I think, yeah, it's quite interesting to think about the idea of getting to, yeah, to live with the action of making photographs. And as she stated very, I think, masterfully, mm, just having those frames, those little frames, as containers in a way. So yeah, further and then in the future, like further after, we get to convey with images in our societies what we meant in so many different ways.